Welcome, admirals, to WarPlan Pacific and my first Japanese campaign against the AI. Um, as we can see here, we've our submarines didn't do much there. We have an invasion here by the United States, and there was a naval battle involved in all of that. Okay, but first let's look at the land war over here. Okay, and the last we saw, I was still fighting for this area here, and I have now secured it, and I have with three armies who are in 1943 assault. Okay, and when we come over here, before my troops were up here, and then I started retreating, and luckily I was able to get some armies over here and form a line right here. And this line is very important because this is where the supplies come into China. If they don't take those hexes, then China's not going to get extra resources. All right. So now we had a thing down here. Okay, and the Allies invaded this area here, and this caused naval battle. So let's take a look at some of this stuff here. So naval interdiction, there was some air going on there, and then surface combat. Okay, so here you see my my battleships come out, and they sink a lone carrier. I mean a lone DD. All right, then we have some more surface combat here. Now I've sent these cruisers against this group here, and they sink one DD. Okay, but Warspite takes one hit. Okay, and so now I'm using my air to attack them. I should have been doing that before, actually, and then not getting not getting much out of that until boom, Warspite takes another hit and then gets sunk by my naval airstrikes. And this is why I've got these bombers around, okay, to attack these surface ships. And then we have another surface contact, and these are between the two cruisers, and nothing actually happens there. So let's take a look at sunken ships. So I believe there was a carrier battle in there, but you can before, but they lost some BBs here, and I'm starting to really beat them up when it's coming to naval warfare. Over here are all my carriers, and you can see that some have taken. That guy's got one. So I don't remember exactly what happened. There obviously was some naval combat. Okay. But I didn't sortie many ships. This had to have been the move before, because if it had been this move, they would have still been out at sea. So this is actually probably the move before when I sortied. We had a naval battle. I returned, and then these guys shows up. Okay. So that happened there. Let's take a look at the advancements here. So we're getting close to assault 1944 and carrier operations 1944. And if you remember correctly, let's see here. Okay, I got two battleships there. As you remember, if you remember from last video, only my frontline troops are on reinforce and upgrade. I'm starting now on these troops in the rear to open them up, and this group, you know, it's just big time. Okay, I still have some destroyers over there, and some destroyers over there, but essentially my fleet is operating out of here. Okay, have my submarines out there, but they're losing their effectiveness, and they're not getting the kills like they did before on their merchant fleet. So remembering, just a recap of my Navy strategy here. This is the first line of defense. This is the second line of defense, because anchored on major supply points. Here's where I place my fleet, so that if they come to assault me in here or in here, my guys are very close, and so they lose the minimum effectiveness as possible. Just take a look at what's coming. I've ordered a bunch of armies, air defense, coastal defenses. I have 2 more submarines coming in, and of course I've already these 2 CVEs were ordered a way back to augment my carrier forces. All right, so that's August, and let's now go and take a look at November of 1943. All right, so not much going on here. Again, returning over here, and we see pretty much the same lines. I'm holding the same here. Lots of troops here, but they're not attacking me where they need to attack. They need to attack me here, but they're not doing it. Okay. Come on down here, and we can see the remnants of the invasion. They're now fleeing, and here is my my fleet, my entire fleet. Okay, and you can see at this point I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And since this is the small fleet scenario, that gives me 2 groups of 6 plus 2 in reserve. Alright, to fight my wars. I've been getting a lot of bomber attack on here, and they were actually sinking my torpedo boats and stuff. So I put a fighter on there, 1943 escort with an ace perk. Not much else going on. Let's take a look here. 487 there. This guy, I'll end up, just buying a whole bunch of trucks. Notice I've got 165 trucks already, huh? Advancements. So I've made it now to assault 1944, and we're still waiting for the carriers. And again, like I say, if you go over and take a look at my guys, they're pretty much all assault 1944, and the reason for that is because I put these reinforcements up here really big time. So that happened during the intervening months, and so for a couple turns, all of my production was going into upgrading those guys to assault 1944. That's pretty much a situation at that time. So we'll now go to January of 1944. So here we are now in January of 1944, and you can see Inuiatok is building up its port size. They're at 4. At 5, they become a major supply. And here he is over here. Have to have an engineer on Inuiatok to upgrade. Here's this port can be upgraded, and he's upgrading that to a 5. I split my carrier groups. So now I have this group up here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 carriers, and enough for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for a six surface ship group. Over here is where I have most of my forces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 carriers, and once again a snot load of surface ships to get into surface-to-surface combat. Okay, and for that, you know, when we talk about these specialties, the thing is, what I don't recommend putting anything on your carriers. What I recommend is, if you're going to use anything, you use these this torpedo specialty. I have a tendency of putting them on cruisers. You could also put them on battleships. Probably better on battleships. Let's see. And so what you see here is I've been producing all these armies. So I have an army down here, an army down here, an army here. Okay, and these are all important places because these are major supply ports. These are victory points. Okay. I don't have an army here. Again, you can see the remnant of this guy here. He's going to disappear. And now I go to my inner ring, which is here. And once again, you see that I have gotten armies onto that inner ring of defenses. So the AI is I think he's very passive at this point, and it's allowing me to build a very strong defense. Let's see what we got here for deployment. Notice I've got a whole bunch of air defenses coming in, another army, and a submarine. Like I say, my submarines are no longer down in the sea routes, and they'll be used against surface ships. And let's take a look at the reports here. So forces, my armies are getting bigger. The U.S. is pumping out a ton of air. They now have a much bigger navy than us. I'm going to take a look at the casualties. Okay, not a ton of casualties. We're pretty much even with the U.S. in naval casualties. Okay, except when we go to sunken ships. Okay, we are well ahead. So that pretty much does it for January of 1944. Let's now go to June of 1944. No, I think it's February. We're going to go to February of 1944. February of 1944. Let's go there now. So here we are in February of 1944. And as you can see, there's been a naval action here, and we lost a carrier, and the Americans lost 3 carriers. Let's take a look at the situation here. Once again, I've not changed anything. Everything is still the same here. Okay. Okay, there's the battle over there. Yeah, I've got this guy. He's ready to move. And you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 submarines down here, and all the rest is destroyers and so forth. So what happened is the Americans come and they attack me at trucks. So let's take a look at what happens there. Okay, so enemy fleet spotted. Okay, and then we have a carrier interdiction. Okay, and this is the Indomitable by itself that attacks my my 6 CV task force and gets itself sunk. Okay, and then we attack them, and we sink their cruiser. And then there's another carrier combat. Okay, and now I have another six carriers, and we have a shootout here, and that results in 1 carrier each, pretty much an even battle here. 1 carrier each being lost by each one, and then another carrier battle, which puts another hit on the Hornet. Okay, and then a hit on another Japanese carrier, and then I bring in a surface combat group, surface combat, and we sink the Hornet. Okay, so pretty good trade-off there. Okay, so here you can see they have 2 CVs and 1 BB. They were attempting to land. I think they wanted to land on truck. I'm not sure. It was just a big battle there. Okay, see, this guy hasn't. I have 1 submarine, and this guy didn't get in the battle. Here's this group: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So notice their efficiency is at 84, and they're in darn good condition. They lost a couple air groups and nothing more. Over here, here's my surface group that attacked, and I've got a destroyer that got hit pretty good. And here, well, let's see. So this is a separate group that I sent in. And I believe this one, I'm not sure if it's this one. It's not this one, no. It's this, these guys come in, and I may have lost a battleship in here, but this carrier takes some hits. And then over here, once again, another surface action group that I throw in there, and this one here is my second 6 CV group task force, and this is where I lose the other carrier. I notice I take some good hits there, but it's a pretty decisive battle in my opinion. Let's go and take a look at the sunken ships. And so a lot of ships, they've lost a lot of ships now. I lose 1 here, and they lose like 5 carriers in that, and we lose 1. So that's a big battle. And remember, at these guys, this guy, okay, his operating base has to be back here, okay? Because this base and this base, which are allied arms, still have not been upgraded, which perplexes me a bit because he starts the game with an engineer, and they're coming all the way up here. Okay, that is a long distance. All right, and for the folks who aren't don't understand how the rules of this game work, let's go in this direction. Okay, so let's come in. Okay, so if it's 1, okay, they're taking the least, they're taking it takes off of your efficiency, but it's not a huge amount. Okay, I think there's 3 levels: 12, 24, and 36%. But once you get to 2, okay, that's 30% efficiency loss just by being at sea for that 1 turn. So you can see that, any ships coming out of these ports are going to be suffering the maximum efficiency losses. And this guy will run away, but by the time he gets to port, he's probably going to be down in, 50s or something like that. Alright, let me see what else. Is there anything else that happens here? That pretty much does that for February. So let's move to June of 1944. So here we are in June of 1944, and we see that there's been another naval battle, another big naval battle here. We've got Ticonderoga, Langley, Essex, Yorktown, Lexington, Independence. All these carriers sunk. We've lost 2 carriers. So it was a big naval battle. Big naval battle here. Situation is pretty much all the same on the land. And what we see is that their fleet comes out, and I think it's all headed, towards Saipan. It's Saipan and Truk once again. And you can see here, so there's a surface group, there's a carrier group, okay, and over here there's a submarine group that I used to attack, another surface group, carrier group, surface. This one was, I threw my carriers in there with them. Some more carriers here. What do I have here? Okay, so that's it there. All right, so let's go through the action here. Let me see. All right. So we start off, and there's a carrier battle right there. And it's the Ticonderoga, which is basically by itself. So my, out comes my 6 CVs, and I sink him. Okay, there's some more carrier battles here. And this is against these 4 CVLs, these CVs here, and each side takes on some hits. And notice these guys get 2 each, so that hurts them. Then there's carrier interdiction here. With us losing a bit on this cruiser. And then I move out my surface action group here. Okay. And I sink the Langley here. So then it switches over here. carrier interdiction. All right. So they come in with 4 carriers, and once again I'm with 6 carriers, and it's a pretty good swap here. 2 for 2, 2 for 2. Okay. And then I launch on them, and I sink one of their carriers. No known enemy fleet. Then again I have 2 carriers here, and I sink their battleship. Spotted. And another CV attack, and we sink a cruiser. This is all out here where reconnaissance is like medium or something like this. And then in goes the surface guys, and we sink that CVL. Enemy sighted, and another surface attack. Okay, this is with my submarines, and I do 3 damage to the Ramillies, so that battleship is close to being sunk. And when we look at the scoreboard, it's getting pretty grim for the Allies. Okay. We've had 4 losses, and they've got, I'm not even going to count them. You can see there that they're taking a really big hit. Let's take a look at forces. I'm at 154. They're at 231. I don't think that includes this move. The forces that they have in this move. Their losses now are over 2-1 to mine. I've stopped attacking their merchants now with the submarines, because their anti-submarine warfare is getting to be quite effective, and I think I lost a submarine and was getting hits all the time, so I decided to stop that. So let me see anything from that. Pretty much does June of 1944. And the thing is now, it's June 1944. The Allies have got tons of ships, but I'm sinking them left and right. They've got tons of supply. And you're seeing all kinds of troops here, and you're seeing more and more aircraft show up. Okay. But still very passive, not attacking me. Come over here, and you see aircraft. It's building aircraft. The AI is building aircraft. Tons of aircraft over here. More aircraft. Okay. But where it really counts in this naval campaign is in supply, and the Allied AI still has not upgraded Henderson Field, and Henderson Field is the key to the Solomon Islands. So I mean, you just can't go running out there, base back over here. Okay. So it's at this point that I start to realize that this campaign is not going well for the Allies. And now we'll go to September of 1944, and this is where I'm going to wrap up the game. So here we are in September of 1944, and you can see that once again there's been a whole bunch of naval action here, mostly with BBs getting sunk. Renown, Revenge, Valiant. Notice no Japanese destroyed here. Okay. So before we get into that, just gonna come back over here. And once again, we see that these guys are just getting stronger and stronger. They're now at 1944 salt. I'm now upgrading all of these guys up here because sooner or later here the Russians are going to come in. This is all a stable front. And once again, what we see here is the Allied fleet comes this way over here and looks like it's going to try to blockade the Philippines. So I react to that and we start having some battles. So let's go through and see what actually happened in this, okay? So I'm gonna... Alright, so it starts off here. Enemy fleet sighted. Okay, naval air attack. So I'm using my naval air now, which I switched from. Remember, I have all these aircraft who are like here, who are around the coast to an anti-submarine warfare, and I changed them now to naval air warfare because I'm not getting any submarines attacking me. And so we get a naval airstrike, another naval airstrike. I notice the Queen Elizabeth, it takes 2 hits, and then I intervene with a surface action group. And then there is a pursuit in which the Renown gets sunk and the defenders go over here. Okay, so they've run away. So that breaks any kind of blockade that they would have wanted to do on that anyway. So then we go to enemy fleet spotted. Carrier pursuit. So my carrier comes across here, I guess, and we sink some ships here. Okay. And we come down here. See, they got ships all over the place. And we do a surface interdiction. Okay, there's just one ship there. But my group sunk it. Another surface combat. And they have carriers, okay? And we do damage on the carriers, and we sink a DD. Okay. Once again, enemy fleet spotted, which means there's something there that you can't see, unfortunately, if it gets sunk. And then we have surface combat. Okay, and so these are all these DDs that I had just sitting in this straits area here waiting, and they attack and they sink the Revenge. Okay, and then we have some naval air attacks. So I use my naval air, boom, Valiant gets sunk, another naval air attack, and I'm not able to do any more damage. So here's the surface action group, my carriers. Okay. Down here, group of carriers. Here, another surface action group. And let me see, what do I got here? I've got some more carriers here. A couple over here as well. So I mean, I'm kind of spread out. I have to spread out my fleet because these guys are attacking me from all over the places. But you know, they're taking huge hits. They're taking huge hits. Let me see here. So let's take a look at the situation here, all right? So this is a static line, and they've got all kinds of air forces over here, and they're not attacking me. They've got oil. I know they've got oil, they've got manpower, and they're not attacking me, and I'm not understanding why, because especially this area here, this is the second route into China to give them more resources. So, you know, and they're not doing anything over here as well. And at this point, I've also, you know, I'm now getting these guys up to 1944. And so at this point, I realized that things are just not happening here correctly. Okay. For example, just like I noted on the other time, okay, the AI has bought loads of aircraft but doesn't use them. What it appears not to have bought is ships. Okay. And in my American campaign, I believe I bought at least 4 to 6 light carriers. All right. And in this campaign, I bought 2 light carriers for the Japanese. So they're buying airplanes and not buying ships. And that's a big mistake. And especially when you don't use them. And the other thing that's going on here is that they are not upgrading these bases. I mean, if they had upgraded these bases, at least these guys would have some sort of chance. But they're so far away that when this battles are finished and they go back to port, I mean, their efficiency is going to be like 30, 40, 50%. Well, my guys are up in the 80s. So it's not going well. And at this point, I decide that's going to be the end of the campaign. Okay. So what's going on here? What's the overarching thing here? The overarching thing is, like most war games, okay, the AI is best when it is defending. Defending is the norm, okay? You're going to play in Europe, then you're probably, during World War II, you're probably going to play the Germans, because it's much easier to program the French, the English, the Russians, everybody else, because they're on the defense. It's very hard to get a really good offensive AI. And normally when you do have a really offensive AI, what it's doing is it's just throwing so much stuff at you. And this is what this is not doing. It's not throwing everything in the kitchen sink into its attacks. And it's got the air power and the troops, I believe, to do it. Okay, it's just not doing it. I mean, that's the only way that I've seen offensive AIs work well, is when they just come with these big mass attacks and basically try to overwhelm you. So there is something that you can do, of course, and which I didn't, okay, in this campaign, and that is you can boost the AI settings, and I didn't do that. I only gave them one boost. I've read on the Matrix forums that a guy who plays the Japanese in the AI, what he does is basically every year he bumps it up, bumps each of these ones one more to give them more of an advantage, and that is probably the way to play this game. So I don't know how well that works. It probably works a lot better, because what it's going to mean is it's going to mean that you're going to have a much bigger fight here and a much bigger fight here, and that's going to take away from your ability to, for example, put armies in on all these islands, because you're going to have to be reinforcing and sending troops into China and into China. So I think you can. I think you can get a good game out of it playing Japan, but like I say, you're going to have to increase that um, um, experience and efficiency to get the Japanese, get the Allied folks more of an edge. It will also give them more of an edge in naval combat, so that when you have these fights, you'll find that the Americans, even if their forces aren't ideal, will be doing a lot more damage against the Japanese fleet. So the bottom line is, we have to ask ourselves a question: is it worth it? Is it worth it? All I can say is that this game was, it was pretty easy. At the very beginning, it seemed to be pretty good, and then it just got more and more easy, because of some basic things that the AI just wasn't doing. Could that be done better? Probably, but I can't go into that. Nevertheless, I think you can make the campaign a good campaign. You're just going to have to raise up those bonuses for the AI, or else it's just going to be a cakewalk. Overall, for WarPlan Pacific, if you're considering buying this game, I would say, just for, if nothing else, just for the Allied perspective of playing. In other words, most of these games, World War II games, you're playing Germany, all right? And in this game, you're playing the Allies, and that's pretty refreshing. It's a naval game in the Pacific, and that's very refreshing. So, I mean, if nothing else, for the Allied campaign is fantastic, and you just keep raising up the difficulty there if you can snowball the Japanese, and each campaign is quite fun. All right. I also think this would be a very good game for PBEM against the two dedicated and knowledgeable players. It's going to be a tough war. And I actually think that it's probably advantage Japan. Okay. And the reason I say that is because the Americans and the Allies, when they start their campaigns, I mean, there's no other, because of the supply bases, there's no way to get to here. There's no way to get to there, okay, except to go through here. So you got to get to here, and then you can move up here and go that way, or go that way, or go that way, as I did in the rather long Allied campaign that I did. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. Wish it was a little bit more competitive and I could have shown you more stuff, but that's sometimes the way things go. So overall, hope you enjoyed the series of videos and found it interesting, if nothing else. Like I say, if you're on the edge of whether to buy the game or not, I would say buy it. If you are a turn-based wargamer, it's definitely a fun experience, and I enjoyed it. So, and I think you will too. if you try it out. If naval warfare especially is you like that. Although most of it is actually land warfare over there. The sea kind of takes, it's a build-up phase and all this. So it's mostly land actually, but it's fun. So I hope you enjoyed the series. Y'all take care. And until next time, I have no idea what I'll be doing next. Y'all take care, and I'll see you later.